going on YouTube? This is P from PBKM, and this week I'm doing movie reviews. But before we get into that, I've got something to say. Alright, this past week we've had a bit of a tragedy. A friend of mine, actually the guy who introduced me to my Amway business in the first place, and was also the first person to get into my Amway business. Interesting story, I'll probably tell it later at some point. Anyway, he passed away. Apparently he was dismantling or helping a friend dismantle a car. And basically while he was there working on it, the car fell on him and he unfortunately did not survive. So right now, while I'm recording this, I'm really just kind of putting a lot of stuff together all at one time and just kind of getting all sorts of crazy stuff done at once. But all in all, though, tomorrow they're actually having the service for him. Today they had the viewing of the body, so that was a little bit heavy. He really fun, playful guy. He'll definitely be missed and such. Glad we had memories, conversations, and talks and all that sort of thing. Sad because if not anything else, he didn't die in vain. He's definitely been quite an inspiration. But pretty much that's enough about that. His name was Patrick Cannon, by the way. I have like some postings on Facebook about him and such if you're really interested in there. And you know that's www.facebook.com/PBKM marketing, all is one word, because we're at that point now. Any rate, let's go ahead and get on into these movie reviews because I'm trying to get all this done within 15 minutes. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 movies. Okay, movie 1, Cabin in the Woods. This is supposed to be a slasher flick, but it's really more of a conspiracy theory, cult slasher flick. So, in a nutshell, this is what happened. Is basically you have 5 people go up. They represent 5 types of people: the athlete, the whore, the scholar, the fool, and the virgin. Pretty much all of them have to die except the virgin. The virgin just has to either be heavily tortured or she dies last. Either way, the others have to die. That's non-negotiable, and they have to die before she dies if she dies. Crazy things about this, man, is it starts off so interesting because they meet the guy on the way there, the old kind of loner guy who's crazy, that kind of almost has "you will die" written all over him. And then when they get to the cabin, they're like hanging out in the cabin and such, and they find a room just full of artifacts. And this room is basically there for them to pick their way of dying based on the artifact that they choose. They happen to choose zombie redneck family, so that was the way that they were intended to be dispatched. Basically, it comes down to where there's only like 2 survivors. And by survivors, it might not, that's a good choice of words, but that might not be the best choice of words. Anyway, in this, you get to see the additional monsters that they also have go to work too. So it's a real interesting movie. It wasn't what I expected. It's definitely worth a view. Next, The Killer Inside Me. This is kind of a weird one. It was a Jessica Alba film, but it was kind of more like watching just sort of 50s like torture / abuse porn. But basically it's about this cop who grew up in a small town. He basically falls in love with a prostitute that he's supposed to run out of town, and he basically ends up having rough sex with her. And he also has a girlfriend who he also has rough sex with because that's like the first girl he knew and sort of trained. These are like damaged people in this movie all the way through. Anyway, they're trying to run a fast one on the big wig of the town, and in not so many words, he's kind of successful. And at the end, he basically goes out in a blaze of glory. You just kind of have to watch it because it doesn't necessarily end the way you expect it, but you definitely can tell before it gets there. It got crazy fast, and just how the ride there is what's unusual and such. Next movie is State of Emergency. This is a zombie film. It's not a zombie apocalypse film. It's just a zombie film. The reason why is it was caused by a localized company having a toxic spill of some sort that caused the zombies. Although you learn this at the very end. And I'm not really doing you no favors by saying spoiler alert, because there's really not a whole lot to this film. There's only like 2 actual guns, 5 people, maybe a cast of 12 people total. The zombies are a combination of slow to rage zombies. So what happens is they just kind of stand around, and when they detect somebody, they pretty much turn to rage zombies to eat them and kill them. And also too, they had a strange older woman zombie which actually could talk and had some IQ. So it's unusual. If you got a slow Wednesday, it's something good to watch. Next, Extinction. Okay, now Extinction was kind of like I've got some notes on Extinction. Extinction was pretty much like watching DayZ the movie. There's been a zombie apocalypse, and we start off with a loner, and basically he's kind of learned a few things about how they work and such, and he actually ends up going out and just kind of runs into various people and gets a little group together, including a government official and a scientist by the end of it. And basically they're just trying to survive and get a few things done as things come down that seem like the logical thing to do. And by the end of it, they lose some people, which is expected, and they're also more or less still moving on to the next thing. There's actually a lot of action in it, and here's what really makes this movie: parkour zombies. And that's your reason for watching it right there: parkour zombies. Alright, Boondock Saints 1 and 2. Coolest shooter movie I've ever seen with a duo. I love how they work together and how they kill people and such, and I just love those 2 movies, the way that they're built. The first one is pretty funny to me because the funny man really makes it all come together. The second one's pretty funny because as you start noticing, the sidekick Mexican dude is pretty much like the dude that no one ever sees coming in this movie. And I mean, it's worth going. Lots of action, definitely plenty of gunplay, and it's just funny because you realize that these 2 guys are actually rather smart guys who get things done because they do dumb stuff and have a lot of dumb luck. Alright, now that was 2 movies for the price of 1. We're moving on to the Possession. Okay, basically it's about a box, not like per se Pinhead's box, but this box basically holds a demon in it. The demon actually happens to be a child taker, so it's like a pedophile demon. Beginning of the movie, it basically beats the crap out of this old lady. Ends up being sold in a yard sale, and the new family, it basically goes after and possesses the girl. Long story short, the father figures out what happens, gets a rabbi, has an exorcism, and is able to get the demon out of her. But the way that all that happens definitely takes its toll on the family, and was kind of a rough and heavy movie, but I definitely enjoyed it. Tried to watch Paranormal Activity 3, I just wasn't into it, so I'm going to have to try that one again later. But in its place, I watched Apartment 143. This movie was actually kind of good, pretty funny and direct, and not so many words. Basically what the problem is it's a family that's the father and his young son and adolescent daughter all seem to be being haunted, and they believe that they're being haunted by the spirit of his deceased wife. Now they tell us that she dies in an accident, but they never really break down what happened. But at the end they break down what happens, basically because the scientists and the observers who have come in there have basically telling him it's not even a paranormal event. Basically all this is coming from his daughter having schizophrenia because his wife also had schizophrenia. Now here's the crazy thing about it. Lots of clearly ghost related stuff happens, and definitely at the end the ghost definitely cuts a fool. The apartment's obviously haunted. Now exactly who the specter is, we are to assume is the mother, but it does kind of look like an apparition that may have been created by the adolescent teenage daughter. So this week I've just kind of crushed everything up because I've been busy and crazy this week. And also too, next week I'm trying to prepare for that, get some things together. I got some other stuff that I've got working in. But pretty much the death of Patrick kind of threw us all for a loop. It kind of had all of us a bit bummed out because he was like the funny guy of our group. So he will be missed. So later, folks. Pretty much this time around, I don't have a product of the week or anything like that. I just hadn't had time to get anything together. With pretty much dealing with that. So thanks, and see you guys next week. Peace.